So let us see what are the differences. So let us see what will be the anatomy of the child and the difference in comparison with the adult. First is the head. Remember, head in children is relatively large. I'm telling relatively large. I'm not telling it's huge. It's relatively large, whereas in adults it's relatively small compared to that of the children. So this large head has a very important anatomical point as well as the clinical point, because this large head makes the children to lie naturally itself in sniffing position only. And this happens up to 10 years of age. At least up to 10 years of age, this proportionately large head will be maintained in the children, and that makes the children to lie naturally in the sniffing position, which means you do not give any towel or any pillow to elevate the head, nothing needed. They are naturally in sniffing position, just like that you can start intubation, especially within 10 years of age. Then teeth. Teeth, remember, in a child it's not stable at all. It's very unstable and can easily be knocked out. In this predisposes to the risk of aspiration of the teeth, and you might need bronchoscopy to remove the teeth. It's very dangerous. But in adults it's relatively stable, unless if it's very elderly patient or if the patient has a highly decayed tooth, then it might be prone for knocking down. But apart from that, adult teeth are generally stable. They don't get knocked out so easily. And tonsils and adenoids. Tonsils and adenoids. Usually it's not a problem in adults. In adults it's not a problem at all, tonsils and adenoids, but definitely it's a problem in children. They tend to be very large and friable. In the sense, they can bleed like hell. They can bleed out very, very badly. So never do. That's the reason why we don't prefer this tracheal intubation at all in children. Very, very nightmare. So if they start bleeding, it's very difficult to control as well. What about the tongue? Tongue in children is relatively larger. Again, note the word relative. Relatively larger, and when compared to the other, children, tongue is relatively small. The large tongue again poses a lot of problems, because I told you your view of the larynx is obscured by the tongue. If it's bigger, then definitely the view is going to obscure more. That's also one reason why you use a straight blade and lift tongue, epiglottis, everything at one stretch and visualize the glottis better. So tongue is larger and it's going to obscure the view very badly. And larynx. Remember, larynx is more superior and more anterior. Clear? More superior and more anterior in case of children, which means it's placed opposite to C2, C3 in children. In adults, it's a little bit inferior and more posterior. So it will be placed under C4 to C6. Opposite C4 to C6, this is the position of the larynx in adults. And again, this is a very important one, because they form like a slanted end. Larynx will be like more slanted. That's a problem. Like vocal cords will be more slanted like this, which means it will be, anterior end will be lower than the posterior end, which means they create a slant. This vocal cords itself will create a slant like this. So this is called antero-superior slant. Anterior to superior slant is there. So whenever you put an endotracheal tube here, there's a lot of chance they will not go deeper inside at all. So they will start impinging on the, so you take, this is the vocal cord, this is the larynx, and they start impinging on the soft tissues and they will not move. So that you have to rotate 90 degrees sometimes, you facilitate the movement of the endotracheal tube into the larynx. So it's very difficult sometimes. An epiglottis. What about epiglottis? Epiglottis is U-shaped, shorter and very stiffer. U-shaped, shorter and stiffer in children, which means it's U-shaped, short and more stiff. And in adults, on the other hand, it is flat and more flexible. In the sense, in adults, when you lift the vallecula, epiglottis also moves along with the vallecula, so you are getting a clear view of the glottis easily. But in children, it's not like that. It's stiff and it's U-shaped. It tends to flap down and obscure the view of the glottis again. So that is also one reason we use straight blades in children, because you go into the oral cavity towards the epiglottis, directly touch the epiglottis and lift the epiglottis itself, so you'll have a better view, because to avoid this problem due to the epiglottis. That's why we use the straight blades in children. And what about the vocal cords? Vocal cords are concave upward. Concave upward, and here the vocal cords will be horizontal. So remember, this will not have any impact in intubation, but they might affect the ventilation of the patient. So because it is more like concave upward, they might have reduced ventilation, especially in times of airway obstruction. So you have to be very careful. So these are the position of the vocal cord. So these are the difference between anatomy of the child versus anatomy of the adult. This diagram will tell you the difference between the anatomy of the child and anatomy of the adult, where you can see the shape of the adult larynx and the respiratory tract is more cylindrical, whereas shape of the larynx and the respiratory tract in children is more like a funnel. Why I told you this point? Because in adults, it is long considered that the vocal cords, that the glottis is the narrowest area. In adults, it's considered that glottis is the most narrowest area. But in children, it's long considered that the cricoid, that the subglottic region is the most, like narrowest area. Most narrowest and the most constricting area in the childhood larynx is your subglottic region, that is the cricoid region. In adults, it's the glottis. But remember, many textbooks have changed this information. In children as well as the adults, now it's proved that glottis is the narrowest area. Glottis is the narrowest area. Clear? That is also the reason why it's believed that in children less than 6 years of age, we always use uncuffed endotracheal tubes, uncuffed ETTs. The reason, because it's thought that children are at high risk of this age group, less than 6 years of age, at high risk of getting a subglottic edema because of a very narrow subglottic area. Clear? So these are some of the important points that you have to know. Cylinder-shaped larynx in case of adults and funnel-shaped larynx in case of children. So a lot of changes are there in the anatomy between children and the adult. You can see here we are using the straight blade. This one picture that is showing, and you can even use your finger to apply the pressure on the larynx, like external laryngeal manipulation. There you use the right hand. In adults, you cannot use the finger. Use the right hand to manipulate. Here, because the children's neck body is short, while intubating itself, you can use the they use the little finger to manipulate the larynx and have a better view of the larynx. And since the head is large and floppy, you need an assistant to hold the head. That is very important because the child's head is very large and floppy and moving all around. So that's why you need assistant in the to hold the child's head properly. And remember, there is no occipital elevation. I told you children's will be naturally in the anatomy. Naturally itself will be in the sniffing portion. So you don't need any separate elevation of the occiput to achieve that sniffing portion. So these are some of the differences that you have to know for intubating a child.
Subscribe and press the bell icon so you never miss an update from PrepLadder.